February 14th, I was admitted to the role of advocates as an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. So I signed my role there. Afterwards, I decided to come home on 15th of February 2019. Started practicing in Voi. I was employed at the firm of Mwazighe and Associate Advocates for, say, 1 year and some few months. And then 1st of July 2020, I opened my own law firm in Voi, Mwazighe and Company Advocates. I've been practicing law since then. Then sometimes last year, May, I opened my branch office here in Kanye, and that is me in brief.
Okay.
Yes.
That's great. That one has saved us one question, because you have been elaborate enough in your introduction. What is so exciting about your introduction is that part where you dropped out of school for 4 years and still you managed to pick up your pieces and become a lawyer. I think I should say congratulations for that.
Thank you.
We'll be asking questions randomly. So I ask my brother and the honorable member for Viruga, Brother Mwandau, to ask the first question.
Thank you, my co-chair. My name is Gennard Mwandau Maganga, MCA Viruga, but also Big Pack Chair Committee. My first question is, what made you develop an interest in the investments cooperation membership? What drove you?
Through the chair, my interest, the development cooperation in the TAVETA county is because that
committee and a member of the trade committee and pick and pack committee. I have one question for you. Have you identified any key opportunities in the county? Any key investment opportunities in the county? If yes, kindly mention them to this committee, at least 3.
Through the chair, one investment that I've identified at TAVETA is farming. I say a lawyer come farmer because we have a very fertile land within TAVETA, and we have we have the resources, but if the corporation will be given a chance to bring ideas in terms of, give an example, tapping water from TAVETA to the whole of the county, because most of the netizens in the TAVETA, they small scale farmers. If the water can be tapped from TAVETA and we do serious farming in terms of irrigation, the issue of food security will not be a problem to our county, for the reasons that there will be plenty of food, and by that fact, I think we'll not have any issues with food, because food, it is the main, can say the main component of a human being, because the moment you have food, the rest in terms of security will come automatically. Because if I have food in my house, I will not walk out to steal. But if someone doesn't have food, we'll have these petty offenses whereby someone went out to steal. Two, the aspect of ranching. Being in the legal profession, I've seen there are opportunities when it comes to ranching because of the new changes in the Land Act, which came with the Community Land Act in 2017. You find that the county itself has a voice in this community land. And if the board or the investment corporation board come into being and make sure that through the county government, they will be in a position to have a voice in these ranches,
you'll find that the community is going to benefit because there are so many activities. Even this carbon tapping, you'll find there's a lot of mismanagement in so many ranches, I can say. So if the board will have a voice through the county, I believe we are going to, the communities are going to benefit. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Honorable Jimmy Mwamidi.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair. Sorry. My name is Jimmy Mwamidi, MCA Bundanyi Mbale, and also Chair Budget. Karibu wakili.
Thank you.
Mimi niko na maswali mawili, ningependa uandike chini ili yajibu yote kwa ujumla. Kwanza, hapa Taita Taveta tumekuwa na rasilimali nyingi na wawekezaji wengi wamekuja wakaekeza hapa kwetu, lakini kwa miaka yote professionals ambao wamesomea na haswa wewe ambaye ni wakili, kwamba watakuwa na uhakika uwekezaji wowote utakaofanyika Taita kutakuwa na faida, na si faida ya kufungana macho, faida ya uhakika ya mwananchi wa Taita kwa ujumla. Taita Taveta, nikiongea kuhusu Taita. Pili, kulingana na sheria iliyoweza kutusaidia sisi kuwa na hili shirika ama corporation, inasema kaunti ya Taita Taveta itawasimamia kwa muda wa miaka miwili, alafu mjisimamie kimategemeo yenu ya hali ya kifedha. Na hivyo pia tunajua kaunti ya Taita Taveta haina chochote. Sasa hii iko hali ngumu sana. Kwa hivyo hapo hatutaweza kuwapatia chochote. Katika hali hiyo, iwapo hatutaweza kuwapatia chochote, mko na mbinu gani za kuhakikisha kwamba kutakuwa na hela za kuweza kuweka hili shirika liweze kufaidi wananchi wa Taita Taveta, ambapo ni pamoja na ile kwa Kiingereza wanasema capacity building, setting up of the structures zote, wafanyikazi nini, hizo vitu kama hizo upande wa operation. Hayo tu maswali mawili.
Thank you. Through the chair. Was the question of you use the word kunyanyaso, that is some sort of discrimination of the communities. I will say that ignorance of law has no excuse. And to add on that is that I've realized most of the transactions that go around
The county, people decide to ignore legal services. So they will enter into a local arrangements kind of agreement whereby the investor has the know-how and capability. So we'll come and manipulate the minds of the claim owners, say in mining, the claim owners, so that the percentage that the community, you'll find Ranch A, I'll give an example. Ranch A gets into a transaction with investor B. And this investor B comes, sit down with the management committee, and first they influence the management committee. Once the management committee take sides with the investor, they know that at the end, if we want 80% from this transaction, we're going to get it. Because the management committee has already been in the pockets, I will say in the pockets of the investor. The reason I am saying so is because there are issues with the management committee in most of the ranches. And you find if the management committee is not working as a team, chances of being manipulated are high. Because if the chairperson has been promised to get a share from the transaction, he will make sure that from the 15 committee members, 7 of them will side with me. So when they could go to voting, they will say 20%, not knowing that the chair has an interest in the transaction. And then you will find that the transaction is being done by the advocate for the investor. The ranch, they ignore the advocate. So when there is a dispute, that is the time that they will involve the advocate. At the end, you will find that there was already manipulation. So to me, I will say this, that when the board or the corporation has been implemented, the best way is to have a voice in the transactions, because this is a ranch that is transacting on behalf of the community, and the county through the board, they have interest. So if it is reviewing the transactions, they should be reviewed to make sure that a good percentage goes to the community so that the community can benefit. Because you'll find an investor coming after 2 years, the investor has is successful, but the community at large is suffering. So on that point of nyanyaso, I think the best way is to be actively involved in the transactions that are ongoing on behalf of the county government, on behalf of the community, through the county and the corporation. Then secondly, you have asked about the issue of 2 years. Yes, we can be in business for 2 years. And because I believe myself being a professional in law, I'll make sure that the transactions that we are going to transact are beneficial to the county and the community at large, so that if it is a transaction, let's have a good percentage that when we get our share, that share will be in a position to sustain us after 2 years. But if I enter into a transaction whereby I allow the county or the community to have less percentage in terms of the proceeds, then we will not be in a position to stand on our own. So I'll make sure in terms of the legal framework of the transactions that we'll be doing within the 2 years, will be in a position that the proceeds that we'll have reaped or achieved will be in a position to make us stand on our own from 2 years going on.
Thank you, Wakili, for that guidance. But I just wanted to make some clarity. We here in the house vetting, and the process will lead to you guys, either all of you or some of you, being appointed into that very important corporation. This corporation, the community of TAVETA will be dependent on. This corporation has
Almost unlimited powers in exercising around financing and investing on behalf of the county government of TAVETA. So what the first question was meant to seek clarity that we can relax easy even if we are ignorant of the law, which is not an excuse, yes, but we can sit easy that our professionals are in charge of all our investment today and for the future. We will not end up with a contract maybe of 50 years courtesy of this corporation that leaves the community disadvantaged. Though tomorrow will not say we were ignorant because we do not want to go that way, but we will say our own brothers and sisters were in charge and they left us free. The reason I'm asking is because as I go through this act, it gives almost unlimited powers on what this corporation can do in terms of committing us today, committing us tomorrow, including ability to take loans and several other aspects of it.
Yes, the clarification will be that, I've indicated that there is already a legal framework that has been put in place. And through the guidance of the Act, you have mentioned an aspect of borrowing. I believe, yes, the Act has given the corporation powers to borrow, but that power is not absolute. Because you see, the buck stops with the county. The buck stops with the county. So we'll make sure that when a transaction is being done, let's say, for example, a ranch enters into a transaction. When a ranch is entering into a transaction, yes, we have the investment corporation that is in place. But when a management committee is transacting, yes, we have a voice, but the voice that we have there is just to guide, and not now we ourselves entering into a transaction on behalf of the ranch, because the ranch will act through the management committee. So it will not be proper for us to enter into a transaction for 50 years on behalf of the ranch, yet there is a management committee. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Maybe I give this chance to Honorable Kimoyo. Carry on.
Thank you, Chair. Karibu, Wakili.
Thank you.
I only have one question. Kindly tell this committee how the board is likely to work with the following partners. One of the partner is Chamber of Commerce, State Law Office, Ministry of Trade, Ministry of Mining, Ministry of Land. Briefly. Thank you, Chair.
Yes, to answer your question, I'll use the word integration between the board and the four. Yes, the four, the Chamber of Commerce, State Law, Ministry of Mining, Trade, and also lands. You've mentioned lands. Reason being, if there is unity.
Let me use an example of lands. I want to enter into a transaction, and it is involving, for example, a ranch or a land that belongs to the county. First of all, we have there should be we need to synchronize between lands and the board, because for us to proceed with the transaction, first we need to know, is the land safe for the investment? Because we are having investors who are coming to pump a lot of money, and we need to benefit at the end. Because sometimes you find you can have, give an example, you can have a title, which is a piece of paper, knowing that this land belongs to the county. But when you do proper inquiries, later you realize that actually this land, the title is a piece of paper, but there is someone who owns that piece of land. And the transaction was done fraudulently, initially, not knowing that this transaction has happened. So if there is integration between the board and the institutions, relevant institutions, then we'll be in a position to enter into safe transactions, which I believe at the end will be viable. Another one is the Ministry of Lands. I'll give an example. I've transacted a number of transactions in mining, whereby you'll find there's a dispute in mining location. Someone has a license to mine or to prospect in specific mining location. But at some point, the same person entered into a transaction with another investor on the same mining location. So if due diligence is not carried between the board and the mining location, then we'll find ourselves in a fix or in a mix, because we can have an investor who wants to invest in mining, but when we give him the work, within 2 months, there is a lawsuit in court, because he has paid a lot of money to the board, but he has realized that there is actually mining activity that is ongoing on the mining location, but he was told that the place is free for mining activities. So to me, I would say that it should be integration between the board and other agencies for us to develop and work the best.
Honorable Mwatate.
Thank you, Chair. Welcome, Mr. Micah Mwazighe. I am Joseph Kennedy Mwalega, MCA Mwatate, a member, PAC. I chair Lands Human Wildlife Conflicts Resolution. My question is, how do you analyze financial and economic viability of a public-private partnership project? How do you analyze financial and economic viability of a public-private partnership project? Then, since you started practicing law, what is your story? Then, since you started practicing law, what is your success story? Thank you.
Yes, through the chair, to answer the first question, aspect of financial viability of public-private kind of a project, say that this is, we call it a new animal in the field, because this is an act that came into being sometimes, I believe, in 2013, whereby a state agency can enter into a partnership agreement with a private company. For me, I would say that you'll find most of the investments, actually you will find them at the private sector, because you'll find people with requisite expertise in the relevant fields, and because
they have succeeded in that field, that is the time you'll see a state agency having an interest to enter into a joint venture agreement or partnership agreement with this private company. But to me, I'll advise that before even we proceed, we have to do a serious inquiry on the private company. One, because sometimes you can enter into a transaction with a company that has series of litigations. And with the system that we have nowadays, you can enter into Kenya law and actually search that company to see that are there any cases that are pending in court regarding this investor that we want to transact with. Secondly, this investor is a private institution, but there are brains behind these private institutions who are the directors. You do a search, the e-citizen, you will find details of the investors. See, are these investors having issues of integrity, or there are criminal proceedings, serious criminal proceedings that are against the private, the director of that company that the public agency want to transact with. If no, then the best way, I will say that public-private partnership agreements will be the best, because sometimes government agencies, they lack funds to finance serious investments, but since there is an expert in the field and has the financial muscles, then entering into such kind of transaction will be the best, because at the end there will be proceeds. And again, I will say that through that agreements, again, there must be some sort of the sharing ratio should actually favor the public. In this case, will be the county compared to the private. Even though the private will be bringing machinery and expertise, but will advocate that a good percentage of the share should benefit the public. Then on the second issue of a story, I will say that
I'm sorry for interruption.
yes.
I hope you'll be brief on this one because of time. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. On the issue of success story, I will say that in my 5 years of practice, I've really enjoyed the practice of law, because I dream law, I swallow law, I chew law. So my success story will be because I started in Voi 3 years ago, that is 2020. And right now, I have managed to handle so many matters in different fields of law, because I do general practice of law. I don't do either criminal or civil. No, every kind of legal problem. And having established my office in TAVETA, 2 offices, and still progressing, I will say that is my success story in the field of law.
Okay, Honorable Anissa.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Welcome, Wakili.
Thank you.
I only have one question for you. Kindly give us the roadmap to realize the operations and success of the investment corporation. What steps would your board take to ensure that the legal entity realizes its mandate? I can repeat. Kindly give us the roadmap to realizing the operations and success of the investment corporation. Question 2. What steps would your board take to ensure that the legal entity realizes its mandate? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, through the chair. The first question, the roadmap, that if the board will be given a chance to be incorporated, I'll say that first of all, I'll make sure that the legal framework is put in place in a way that the members of the board knows their duties and responsibilities to avoid one stepping on another. For the reason being, this is a serious board whereby we have serious investors, and if there is a loophole in the framework, there will be an issue because of the issues of management. So to me, I'll say that the moment the board is incorporated, I'll make sure that each knows his duties and responsibilities to ensure that there will be no friction among the board members. And then the second issue of the steps to be taken. One, there's a part of registration. Registration of the board of the investment corporation, whereby when it becomes a legal entity, it will have a voice. That is a power to transact, a power to sue, a power to be sued. Because if it does not exist, it exists by name, then it cannot stand on its own. So the steps that I will take is that the body will be fully registered. There are documentations to that effect. There are regulations, internal regulations that are in place to make sure that the board will work effectively and achieve its goals and objectives.
Member for Osik Shamba.
Thank you, Chair. Karibu wakili.
Thank you.
I have got one question for you. Board member, where are you likely to advise the board to go and learn best practices on matters related to investment cooperation and probably book a leave or even put less better corporate?
Yes, through the chair, as a board member, I will advise or the issue of benchmarking. Go to Makueni County. It's a county that I've seen that they have tried their best to utilize their resources. For the reasons that we have capabilities or resources that are not tapped. So if we sit down and brainstorm and see someone who is a mentor in front of us to avoid being self-centered with the information that we have and avoiding to borrow from someone else
who has made a step. So to me, I'll advise the board to have a view of benchmarking at Makueni, because what Professor Kifuta Kibwana did was actually rated among the best governor within the country, and I will take that route in case I'll be given the chance.
Thank you. Honorable Sagala.
Thank you,
Chair. Karibu wakili.
Thank you.
I have just two short questions for you. First one says like that.
What would you like to be remembered for after serving your term as one of the Pioneers directors? What would you like to be remembered for after serving your term as one of the Pioneer directors? Second one, what challenges do you anticipate as the board director, and how do you plan to overcome them?
Yes, through the chair, the first question, the issue of leaving some sort of legacy when 5 years are done. I would say that this being to be the first phase of
the board, I'll make sure that this is, I'll compare the board as a small baby, that there are steps that a baby goes through. And this being a baby that is about to be born, has already been conceived, but is yet to be born, I will say that I'll make sure that the legal framework that we are going to put in place and the activities that we are going to do as a board, we'll make sure that after 5 years, and we leave, then the board will be remembered for achieving its objectives, because we are there with a reason. So if the objectives are achieved, then at the end they will say that that board whereby Mr. Mwazighe was between this year and this year did the best as compared to the 3 boards that came later. That will be my answer to that. Secondly, challenges. I know challenges that will be there will be political interference, because when serious deals are being sealed, being a legal practitioner, I've encountered such, whereby a ranch comes to you and says, you see, we have entered into a transaction, but one of our leader has tried to interfere with the transaction because of self-interest. To me, if there is a challenge, we believe that the rules and regulations that we are going to set is that, first of all, we don't need to rush to court. But the first thing is to make sure that there are some internal mechanism on how to solve any issue that will overcome or will face, so that if that legal challenge, that legal route will not solve the issue internally, then probably I will advise the board, let's take this issue to court, because the internal framework has not worked. Let's go to court and see, because the interest behind is for the benefit of the community. Yes.
Thank you very much, Wakili Mwazighe. I'm kindly asking members that we have had a long day, so we can end the session there. We can end the session there so that we can allow Wakili to go and relax. I know he has been preparing the whole day, but we have had a very nice session on Wakili. We have discovered we have so much brains outside there. We have discovered we have so much talent outside there through this experience. So we are going to just do our work as the county assembly. And our work is very clear. The oversight, legislation, and representation. Seated here, we are representing the members of TAVETA County. And being a board, of course, we will be bringing quarterly reports. We'll do proper oversight. And I'm urging you on behalf of this house that the expectations are very high. They are very, very high. We have been disappointed enough as a county by young men and old men of the same county. We are hoping it will be a different lot in case the board the assembly finds you suitable for the position of a member of the board. Otherwise, I wish you all the best. And maybe I give you 1 minute or 1 second to just give a remark or a parting shot.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, I will like to thank the county and the county assembly for bringing the conception of the idea of the investment corporation board. Because we cannot strive in this county if there are no investors or investments. So because the idea has been is being implemented, I know that TAVETA County will not be the same from now going forward. That will be all. Thank you.
I'd like to say that we are going to sit down and write our report, and we are hoping to fast track this process such that you people can start working. All the best, Wakili. All the best. We are hoping to meet you again, working together to build TAITA County.
I wish our sergeant to escort the wakili out of the chambers, but I'm urging members we should not move out. We do a short deliberation, then we move out and take our tea. Wakili, there is tea outside there. Kindly take a cup.